Okay, just for a second, picture this. You're standing on a mountain peak, high up in northern China, and snaking out below you, hugging every curve of the mountains and vanishing into the clouds, is this line of stone and earth, like a giant sleeping dragon. That's the Great Wall. But here's the thing, it's so much more than just a wall. It's a story.
And that's exactly the story we're diving into today. Not just about the structure, but about the people, the ones who dreamed it up, the ones who built it with their bare hands, and the ones whose lives are literally part of its foundation. So, let's start at the very beginning.
So, first, we've got to try and see the wall like the ancients did, not as something man-made, but as this massive, earthbound dragon on the horizon. It almost feels like it grew right out of the landscape itself, you know? A silent guardian, just watching over the land.
In China, they call it the Wanli Changqing. Now, 10,000 miles isn't a literal measurement. It's more of a poetic way of saying impossibly, unbelievably long. And honestly, that description absolutely nails the sheer scale of this thing.
So the big question is, why? Why build it? Well, to get that answer, we have to travel way back in time, to a period when China wasn't one country at all. Imagine a whole collection of small, rival kingdoms, all locked in this constant, brutal state of war. Every single border was a battlefield.
Yeah, historians have a name for this whole chaotic mess, the Warring States period. It was just a terrifying, uncertain time to be alive. Every kingdom was clawing for more land, more power, and just surviving meant defending every inch of what you had.
So what do you do in all that chaos? You build walls. Now, these weren't the stone giant we see today, not even close. They were simpler, made of packed earth and wood. Little lines in the sand, really. Just meant to protect farmers from the neighbors and from the constant raids by nomadic horse tribes coming down from the north. It was basically a patchwork of little walls for little kingdoms.
But then, everything changed. One leader steps onto the scene who'd completely reshaped the world. He took this shattered country and hammered it into one piece, all driven by a vision that was, well, equal parts magnificent and absolutely terrifying. So in 221 BCE, Qin Shi Huang becomes the very first emperor of a unified China. And his plan? It was wild. He wanted to connect all those separate little walls, to create one single, unbroken line of defense thousands of miles long to protect his brand new empire. It was a project on a scale the world had never even imagined, and it had to be built with nothing but human hands.
But a vision that grand, it comes with a cost, a horrifying cost. Hundreds of thousands of people, soldiers, farmers, convicts, were forced to work in the most brutal conditions. So many of them never came home. And the Great Wall earned this dark, terrible nickname, the longest cemetery on Earth.
You can really feel that sorrow in one of China's most famous legends, the story of a woman named Meng Jiangnu. Just a few days after her wedding, her husband was taken away, forced to go work on the wall. She was so worried about him in the freezing northern winter that she packed warm clothes and started an incredible journey to find him. After walking thousands of miles, she finally got there, only to hear the most devastating news imaginable. Her husband had died from exhaustion, and his body was buried inside the very wall he'd been forced to build.
She was completely heartbroken and just wept for days on end. And the legend says her grief was so powerful that a whole section of the Great Wall just crumbled and collapsed, revealing her husband's body so she could finally give him a proper burial. Her story really became the voice for the suffering of millions.
But, the wall story doesn't just stop there in that tragedy. It keeps going. It evolves. Over the centuries, different dynasties repaired it, added to it, but under some later rulers, the wall entered what you could call its golden age.
So, fast forward to the Han Dynasty. The wall's job started to change. It became more than just a barrier. It was now the guardian of the famous Silk Road. That critical trade route that moved silk, spices, and brand new ideas between China and the rest of the world. The wall that was built to keep people out was now helping to bring them together.
And get this, they had this absolutely ingenious communication system. Think of it like the ancient world's internet. No, seriously. Guards and watchtowers would spot trouble, light a smoke signal during the day or a fire at night. The next tower down the line would see it, light their own, and so on. A message could travel hundreds of miles in just a few hours. That was a game changer.
And you can really see the evolution of the wall right here.
You had the early, pretty basic rammed earth walls from the Qin dynasty. But then, look at the Ming dynasty. We're talking sophisticated fortifications, kiln-fired brick and stone. This is when the wall became the architectural masterpiece that we all recognize today. The Ming emperors did not mess around. They used these massive, heavy stone blocks and super strong bricks. They built the top wide enough for 5 horsemen to ride side by side. But the secret to its incredible strength? The special ingredient in the mortar, the glue holding it all together, you're not going to believe this, was sticky rice. Yeah, modern science has shown that this mixture created an unbelievably strong, water-resistant mortar. And it just makes you wonder, right? When you see pictures of the wall climbing these impossibly steep, treacherous cliffs, how on earth did they get those massive stones all the way up there? It was just a breathtaking feat of human engineering and pure, raw determination. Okay, so let's fast forward to today. The Great Wall obviously isn't guarding against armies anymore. Its job has changed once again, and now it's become this global icon, an echo from the past that speaks to every single one of us. It's kind of amazing, isn't it? The very thing that was built to divide people, to be a fortress, is now a world wonder that unites them. Millions of people from every corner of the globe walk its steps every year, not as invaders or defenders, but just as visitors, totally in awe. You know, there's this famous saying in China, "He who has not climbed the Great Wall is not a true man." And it's not about being macho, it's about perseverance. The idea is that to really understand strength and what it takes to overcome huge obstacles, you have to experience that climb for yourself.
But here's the thing, a wonder this old is incredibly fragile. Centuries of weather, time, and just the millions of footsteps, they all take a toll. So today, there's a new kind of army on the wall. They're not building it, they're preserving it, carefully using those same ancient techniques, like the sticky rice mortar, to make sure it's still standing for generations to come. So, when you strip it all away, what is the Great Wall? It's way more than stone and brick. It's an echo. It's the voice of millions of people whispering across the centuries. It's a monument, not just to an emperor's power, but to the incredible endurance of the human spirit. It's a story that kind of makes you wonder, what walls are we building today, and what stories will they tell?